My name is Claire Simpson, and I'm an occupational therapist with the SWAAAC Central team.
And I'm Chris. I'm a speech language pathologist, AAC specialist. I've been supporting the SWAAAC program for 18 years this year, and I love my job and I love working with all of you. Thank you for being here today.
Ashley and Brenda, do you want to go quick?
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm one of the assistants on the SWAAAC team, and I'll be taking notes so that we can send out a compilation of all the resources discussed today.
Hi, my name is Brenda. I'm also an assistant for the SWAAAC program. I'll be checking the chat and just keeping an eye on it for any questions you all may have.
Awesome, thank you. Another link here, this is the link to the slides. There are tons of links throughout these slides, so you may want to go grab them, but we can also send this out afterwards. So we'll give everybody a minute to go get the slides. Okay. Links in the chat as well. All right, so the way this will work, so Chris and I will be facilitating, and we're just hoping to have a conversation with everyone around some of your favorite resources, ideas, some success stories that you've had from this year, to share out with the group so that we can all kind of learn from each other and use each other's resources and ideas. So we asked several questions in the registration for this webinar, and we got a lot of really great answers. So we'll kind of start by sharing out some of the responses to those questions. We added links and additional ideas or resources where we could, but it would be really, really great if any of the information was something that you submitted. If you want to jump in, add anything, share additional ideas, if other people have had similar experiences or anything else to contribute, that would be great. All right, so the first question we asked was, tell us about collaborations that have had a positive impact in your district or BOCES. And some of the responses we had were ongoing collaboration with IEP teams, regular collaboration with TVIs and autism teams. In DPS, they got a very small AAC team going to help build capacity around AAC in the district. One school found that working with students to make 3D printed 3D grid for an iPad communication app was a valuable collaboration. And having a dedicated tech person, this was in a BOCES, was a really amazing addition. And then having a SWAAAC representative available by email or appointment is critical, but it can be tough. It can be tough to know what's out there. So that sounds like a shout out to most of you and what you do. Does anybody have anything to add on any of these collaborations? Perhaps any like insight on how you got these collaborations going, getting buy-in for collaborations around AT?
I think I did not say this with the TVIs, but that has been pretty huge in our district, ensuring we're working with them, especially as an SLP. I'm seeing a lot more of students with CVI who have eye gaze systems. So working collaboratively with the RTVIs has been pretty huge this year. I also think they are huge. They're pretty big stakeholders that don't often get asked to provide their input. And so all of them have always been so willing to give input on layouts, design, how to ensure that if a student has a funded device, we're making it the most accessible it can be.
Awesome. So it sounds like the buy-in from the TVIs is there. It's just a matter of reaching out to them and getting them involved in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Brittany. All right. Move on. So the next question was, tell us about any policies or processes that have had a positive impact in your district or BOCES. And someone said that House Bill 21-11110 has had a positive impact. I added some resources here around this. So House Bill 21-11110 is the legislation in Colorado that will require digital resources to be accessible. So essentially anything that we are creating and publishing or sending, sharing even among internal teams needs to be created in an accessible manner. And there are rules around what exactly that means have been published as of about a month ago. So that's this first link, 8 CCR 1501, those technology accessibility rules. There is also within those rules some guidance around when you can justify that needing to make something accessible poses an undue burden. And so if you feel like it's not possible to make something accessible with the resources that you have or in the time that you have, you might read through those rules and see if the resource that you're thinking of might qualify as undue burden and could be documented that way. And then I also put the link to our spring training. We did a 4-hour training on document accessibility and design, just some things to think about when creating a document in order to make it a little bit more accessible. Does anybody have anything to add about House Bill 21-11110? I know there's been some good conversation going on around this.
I think a benefit for me is it's really connected me with IT, and it's just bringing up the importance of accessibility. So it's been really helpful with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, our director, I love the way she described it. Like, it's not she was calling it like a carrot. Like it's the carrot that you can use to get people to buy into accessibility. It not to be seen as a punishment. So
Right.
that's great. So are they do you feel like they're understanding accessibility? Or what's the interaction with IT been?
There's actually a whole committee that I got pulled into like mid-year, and it's IT, it's the district lawyers, it's like a huge group of people that are addressing all of these things that need to be happening in the district. So it's been a really nice connection to people that I'm not usually connected with. So
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how it all plays out.
I think it'll be very interesting to see the different ideas and individual definitions of accessibility too, right? It happens along a spectrum. And for example, our loan library, the folks there at Companion Corps, were very insistent that they had a pretty accessible website until we started pointing out all the problems with it. So it'll be interesting.
yeah. And I think it's brought up a lot of good conversations around even things like the kiosks that parents use at the front of a school to sign in, or all of those things accessible. So it's really just broadened the knowledge. There's a long ways to go though.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the very least, it's advancing awareness, I think. A whole lot of awareness all of a sudden.
Absolutely. All right. Another process that someone recommended was using kiosk mode on district loans communication devices and iPads. And I didn't have a note about who had made that comment, but I was hoping maybe they were on here and could tell us a little bit more about that.
I did,
Oh, you did?
Brittany. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had guided access set up for a lot of our students when they were trialing AAC apps, but we were finding that a lot of people were still getting out of guided access, or they were forgetting the codes, and then we'd have to reset things. So we worked with IT. Michelle, you might have more info on doing what they created, a group in Jamf called kiosk mode. And it essentially is like a higher powered guided access. So in order to get out of the app, so say we're using TouchChat, in order to get out of TouchChat, it has to be done like remotely through Jamf. It can't be done via the school. So now what we're finding is when we go into classrooms, all of our district loan iPads are only on the communication app. They're not able to get out. So they're not able to get out of it to do anything else. It's just on the app, and it's locked down pretty hard. And only one high school figured a way out, and it was like 8 steps through TouchChat, and they were just geniuses. But other than that, we haven't had any issues. These kids they went through like so many steps to get out of it, and we didn't know how to do it, so we were very impressed by them.
There's always someone.
So Brittany, do you know, is that something that you were able to achieve because you're using Jamf or because of the specific skill sets of your IT department, or is that
Michelle?
something?
You want me to jump in?
Yeah, can you jump in there?
Yeah, it's done within Jamf. I don't know anything else about other iPad management systems, but it's basically IT set up a group that we move that iPad into that has things locked down or allows certain things. So, and it's really, really worked well.
So
But you guys don't have control of the MDM system. You have to go through your technology department if you want to like open it up to
Actually,
update the iOS or.
nope, we can actually do that.
Okay.
We have certain things we can do in there. So we can take those iPads in and out of that group. We can install apps and all of that. So,
Okay.
but like setting that up definitely would have been an IT thing. That was beyond my knowledge.
Right. Okay.
And so the video, I just found a video that's called setting up an iPad in kiosk mode, but it's actually just setting up an iPad with guided access. Is what that video is showing. So it sounds like you probably need Jamf or other management systems.
Yeah, it's probably a little
but
confusing. Like we could name that group anything, and we named it kiosk. So that probably makes it a
Okay.
little bit confusing.
got it.
I mean, we could have called it anything, but because of what we felt it was, that's what we named it.
Okay. Well, just so everybody's aware, the link on here is really just setting up guided access. Talk with your IT team or reach out to Michelle and Brittany to figure out how they did it. All right, awesome. That sounds great. So the last process that had a positive impact was grants. And we also didn't have information about who had suggested this, but I'm sure many people have benefited from finding grants. We did last year a webinar with our director, Kathy Bodine, who is a grant writing master. She gave lots of great tips and tricks for writing grants, finding and writing grants. And so if anybody is interested in tracking down funding in this way, that would be a great webinar to watch if you missed it last year. Does anybody have any good grant success stories from the year? Maybe you don't want to share because then everybody will be coming after the same thing. All right, we'll move on.
Add that I have personally suddenly become fairly familiar with the Colorado Common Grant application. And if you've not done it before, it's really not complicated. It's really not hard. And so if you have something that, you know, you'd like to get funded and you find an organization that seems to be a good fit and they use that application, I would encourage you to give it a try because it's really not that much to it.
Chris, what was the name of that?
That's the Colorado Common Grant application. And so there are just all these organizations and foundations that all use this same application.
All right. Thanks. The next question was asking about everybody's favorite professional development from the year. So any courses, books, or journal articles that have influenced your services. And I kind of broke these up into different topic areas. So these were everyone's favorite AAC related PD opportunities. Comprehensive Literacy for All is a book by Karen Erickson and is it David Copenhaver?
Mm-hmm.
Teaching students with significant disabilities to read and write. I believe we have this in the loan library, and I believe that's where this link will take you if you want to borrow it.
You know, it's become such a foundational text, I feel like. And so if anybody is interested in borrowing it even over the summer, usually we will extend loan periods through the summer for things like books. So reach out and let us know if there's a book in the library that you'd like to keep your hands on over the summer.
Master Pal is a series of, I think it's organized into modules, but communication partner training. And there's some links here to this. And again, if anybody has anything to add, please jump in. The Authentic AAC course from Learn, Play, Thrive. The AAC in the Desert conference, which is past, and I don't believe they've published information for next year's conference yet. But this link on here will take you to that website if you wanted to keep an eye on that for next year. And the participant who submitted this one said that it is filled with tons of ideas for AAC activities. And then Tar Heel Shared Reader publishes some PD opportunities. They have some videos and trainings online that have been valuable. Additional AAC PD opportunities that were found to be useful. The SWAAC training on Gestalt language processing and AAC that Kiva did, as well as the follow-up session that she did. If you missed the original training, we don't have it recorded, but it will be repeated at Kate. So make sure to register for Kate and catch that session. And then there's a link to some additional research and resources around this topic. And then PD opportunities from Meaningful Speech. Anybody have anything else?
And Meaningful Speech is also online training for Gestalt language processing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Still in that thread of Gestalt language processing.
Great. All right, a few more. The ATIA conference in Orlando, Florida. This also has come and gone for this year already, but There are some of the virtual conference sessions that you can still watch, but I believe you have to register as a virtual conference attendee by April 30th. So if you're looking to catch any ATIA sessions, I would look into that sooner rather than later. They also publish some of the sessions to the Learning Center, but there's often a cost associated per session. And then occasionally there are some freebies on there. So check out the Learning Center. I'm curious if anybody on here was able to attend ATIA this year and if there were any favorite sessions. All right. Sarah said the NATE network, which is the National Assistive Technology in Education Network. And the training, the SWAAC webinar, the hardware to the software, everything you know to make an iPad switch accessible was popular.
You know, I want to say many years ago, I jumped on that NATE network and was like, there just wasn't much there. It was okay. Every once in a while it would pop up and whatever, you know. But since this ended up on our slides and people submitted it, I went to their website and checked it out, and there's so much more there now than I ever remember there being. Actually, looks like a really good resource. And I'm definitely at some point here when I get a little time gonna explore a little more what's on there.
There's a cost to join, right, Chris?
The
But
cost
it's
to join.
I think just a one-time cost.
But I think there's some freebies on there too. Did you
Okay.
see these? I don't know. All I know is I looked at it and went, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think that one came from Sarah Rohde, so if she's finding it useful, I bet it is. All right, and then I believe this is our last slide about professional development. So these are just some other miscellaneous PD topics that people found useful. Sarah Ward's guidance on operationalizing supports for executive function. The American Academy of Ophthalmology related to VR. I found a lot of resources from the American Academy of Ophthalmology related to VR, so I'm not exactly sure if whoever submitted this is on, if you wanted to elaborate on that, on specifically which resources you found particularly helpful, or maybe it was just all of them. But I think the link that this would take you to is fairly general. And then one person enjoyed the AOTA conference.
I don't know if anybody is on, maybe Michelle, you might remember when we brought in Sarah Ward. It's been a long time, but if you've ever had the pleasure of being in one of her trainings, she is amazing with regards to executive function. And I actually jumped on this link the other day because, you know, it just triggered all my memories of this training. It was so good. And there's actually a lot on there that we might even consider purchasing and putting in the loan library. So if you have a chance to jump on her website, if something looks good to you, just let us know.
That would be great, Chris, if you could add some of her materials, because I know I use a lot of old stuff from trainings that she did with CDE years ago, but newer stuff would be great. I feel like this is a big area I'm getting a lot of requests for support with post-pandemic.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, like organizational tools, maybe even more paper-based organizational tools. But I just remember her trainings and thinking how excellent it all was. And so somebody maybe at CDE must have brought her in this year because there was more than one person, right, Claire, that talked about Sarah Ward?
I think
there
so. Yeah.
she's really good.
She
I
does
don't know
trainings
if-
through AAP Connections. So I originally got her through, I think probably the same training that you took some years ago, but that now she has like follow-up trainings through them, but they have a cost associated.
I'm sure.
I don't know what it would look like if that would be something that SWAC would consider for PD next year at all in one of the monthly talks, but I know that EF has been such a hot topic this year, kind of like Gestalt language processing has also been, so I'm gonna have to click her links and figure out. Because SLPs have asked also about book studies on EF, and I'm like, I don't know right now.
I want to say she did a full day workshop for us.
Yeah, that's what I remember. And then I think I think you and I both did that, Blair, where there was like 2 days here locally that she came and did down in the Southwest.
Yeah, yeah. But I paid for one of the AAP Connection. It was like a masterclass thing that she did as like a follow-up to that 2-day course. And she's expanded a lot.
All right, that's great to know. I think this is our last slide on professional development. Does anybody have anything else that comes to mind that they want to share?
It feels like we're hearing from people they're wanting us to try and arrange every move counts for next year. So I'm kind of feeling like that might be our first priority. But we can certainly keep Sarah Ward in the back of our heads too.
And then another one that you did a while ago that I find myself referencing every now and then was around trauma and working with students with multiple severe needs around trauma. I still feel like that is also an area that there's a lot of need, and just more strategies to support kids with significant disabilities that are also struggling with a lot of emotional issues or behavior issues in those pieces.
There's going to be a session at Kate that I'm excited about. I can't remember the exact title, but it's related to trauma and AAC, I believe. But yeah, that's always an important topic. Okay. Well, I'll pass it over to Chris to talk about the rock stars.
So we asked, who are your rock stars and why? And I'm thinking that it kind of is lending a little insight to things that people just do really well. So learning from each other all the time, that collaboration, the networking that I think we all find so important. So finding the time with your teams to learn from each other and support each other and share your ideas and successes and resources. Working on speech goals all day long. I loved that quote, right? I think that's such a hard thing to achieve, right? When you're a speech pathologist and you have such a focus on AAC, working with these SPED teachers who have so much on their plate, paraprofessionals who are, you know, strung to the very ends, and then finding ways to incorporate all these strategies that support students all day long with their AAC goals. So that's excellent. I loved that. And then AAC in and out of school, like what a great way also to extend the learning, right? And AAC communication all day long. Was there more on the next slide, I think? Okay. I love that someone took a moment to recognize the students, right? We all are working so very hard, but so are they. And so it's really nice when someone recognizes how hard it is, right, to learn those systems. It's really hard. And so bravo to all those students who are making progress. Just shout outs and then a few shout outs to folks. If you were at the team coordinators meeting, we heard over and over again how instrumental Robin is to the San Juan BOCES. And I think one of the things people appreciate most about Robin is how available she is all the time, whether it's email or by phone or on Zoom. I think as an AT support specialist, she just finds ways to connect with people just in time in order to make things happen. So all great strategies, all kinds of rock stars in the world of educational AT. Any others?
More.
And again, Robin championing and advocating for students. And then again, another great shout out to our students. I don't know that I've ever particularly seen the word patient and high school students in the same, the same statement, but there it is. How wonderful is that, right? And then again, just a shout out to all of our teachers who are making it happen in the classroom. Anyone else on the call want to give a little shout out and talk about what's happening in your districts and who's making it happen and how?
I've got to rub it in with Michelle a little bit, but I just had a great meeting with Mike today. We're so lucky to have him. He's such a wonderful teacher of the visually impaired, and we have a student in Silverton that we're working with together, and it's just, we had such a good meeting for her this year, and it was wonderful. So it's really nice when you have those TVIs that understand assistive technology and are excited about it and want to use it. And he's just great. So yeah, so appreciative and excited for all these new things we're going to try.
He was like that here too. So I'm glad he's there and it's all working out, but we certainly miss him.
Yeah, you can't have him back.
Anybody else? You know what, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Brittany because, you know, every time she shows up to a training, shows up to a meeting, I just so appreciate the insightful comments, the thoughtful questions, the thought-provoking questions that you always bring to the table. So thanks, Brittany, for all your participation and contributions this year. I really do appreciate it.
That's very nice. Thank you. I really enjoy these, and I think I learn so much from every time I get together with any SWAAC member. So I try not to miss it.
And Robin, you can't have Brittany.
But the Southwest, it's so beautiful. Come down and see. I'm thinking I just need to retire at the end of this year. Everybody's been so nice lately, and just like quit while I'm ahead.
What would they do without you, Robin? You wear so many hats.
I'd figure it out.
All right, so let's see. We asked about any new products, new features, apps, extensions that you've discovered, and how they may have benefited a student. And someone submitted Magic School AI. I'm not sure I clicked on this link. Does anybody on the call want to claim their submission of Magic School AI? Is this something that's creating goals, objectives, lesson plans, maybe? I want to.
So this was from Boulder.
Okay, I thought maybe I did it. I wasn't
Oh.
sure.
Are you familiar with it, Lisa?
I haven't used it too much, but our regular ed teachers are using it for inclusion for some of our high need students, and they'll take you know, some of the assignments they're working on or some of the texts, and they'll simplify it down to a lower grade level. And so they found it really useful for that. And anything that helps our regular ed teachers do inclusion, I'm a big fan of. So.
Cool.
I was
Yeah.
looking into it too, just digging more into their privacy policies, because that's definitely a concern I have with our staff using AI is just if you're using something like ChatGPT and putting kids' names into it, I mean, that is essentially a data breach. So it does seem like Magic School has a little bit more robust policies around protected student information, but it is just kind of don't use names. And if they detect names, they try to flag it or something. I mean, so it's still not guaranteeing privacy of that information, but it coaches you through using non-identifiable terms to generate things.
Well, Boulder Valley School District adopted it district-wide. They didn't specify how they're using it, but they may be good ones to reach out to with that kind of question.
Yeah, I pulled up their site and they're giving examples of like multiple choice generation, IEP generator, text leveler, creating informational text. Yeah, it's a lot of text-based tools.
I tried it just to see what, like when I was writing goals, what it would come up with. And sometimes it worded it better than me. I mean, that's not a very high bar. But I just thought, I wonder what it would say. So anyway, but we have like our history teacher uses it a lot to modify.
Yeah, so it sounds like it could be a nice productivity tool. Even if you don't take everything word for word, could get you just springboarded into some work. All right, and then the tiny switchy. So I imagine most people are aware that the Don Johnston Switch Interface Pro is gone. The AbleNet latch is gone. So the options for switch latch timers has shrunk. So here is just a great option, low cost latch timer. And then the new iOS features, I'll be very honest, I'm not a huge iOS user, but I do know there were a lot of changes with the most recent update. Does anybody want to speak more fully to new features that they are loving? No. I will say that I had Brienne from FRS in my office yesterday because we just purchased the Pro Slate 13 with Enableize. And she was talking about the new iOS features being more compatible with an eye gaze system. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
have
think
to learn about that.
another cool thing is just that personalized voice. There's some technology where you can record examples of your speech with a mind towards potentially losing your voice if you were diagnosed with something where that could happen. But I could see some application potentially with siblings creating voices for students who use AAC. There's some really interesting technology around the concept of maybe having personalized voices in a short period of time for students who use AAC.
Nice. I'm gonna have to look into that. Thanks, Robin.
I love the live captions. I've shown that to so many people. It's such a nice way to have access to captioning really quickly. And it works with phone calls too, which is cool.
And there's that point and speak feature as well, where you can hold the camera up to a button with a word on it and it will say, it's still developing, but again, it's like a cool start to something that could potentially be really helpful.
Okay. And then learning about resources on devices to help students. Is anybody on the call who contributed that? Would like to maybe speak to it a little bit more? I feel like there's a lot more help features in communication devices now. So you don't have to break out the manual quite so much. I'm wondering if that's what they're referring to.
Well, I was thinking maybe more like the built-in accessibility resources on devices, but I don't know.
Oh, maybe my brain goes to AAC, but this might have nothing to do with it. Okay. And then the Fluent Typer extension. Is anybody on the call that discovered the Fluent Typer extension? Free word predict.
This was also from Sarah Rohde, and I don't think she's on, but I looked into it a little bit because there's not a lot of free word prediction tools. It's a Chrome extension. I didn't play around with it a ton.
Free is good.
Yeah.
I think the key with the free things is getting them vetted through your district, which is a very, very intense process anymore. So that's the challenge. I know we find if something's free, there's something usually that doesn't work for us, unfortunately. So I would love to know if Sarah's using it down there.
I wonder if it's in, we have a shared spreadsheet that where districts can go in, or our SWAAC folks can go in and add apps and extensions that have been vetted and approved by their districts. I wonder if she's added it there. I can look. We can follow up. All right.
Is it usually privacy or security related that they're not approving free tools?
Yeah, I would say something like this. The risk would be that it's essentially functioning like a keylogger. So anything that you type is being recorded. And so you just can't guarantee that anything is private when you're entering it into any kind of extension that deals with text.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was looking at their page on the extension and it says they will not sell your data to third parties outside of approved use case. You know, there's a lot of like star asterisk kind of things in their statement. And so, you know, someone has to be paying for the servers that these companies use to operate. And so typically they do that by selling data they collect.
Okay.
Okay, see what started doing switches to our smart boards. I'm looking at Brittany's comment. So I would just encourage everyone to hop on that chat. Check out her comment. Turning pages, starting videos, reading text. Cool. Very cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Switch clicking. Oh.
Sometimes it requires standing on a chair, from what I understand, and actually getting something way up high. So in some of the buildings, I think it's been hard, but it's been really successful in programs. Oh, no. No, you're fine. She didn't want to interrupt, but she has to leave. But it's been very successful. So.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. So the Windbridge portable personal amplifier, is there anybody online who submitted that, who wants to expand?
That might have been me. We just had a really good experience with that one. We loaned it, we borrowed it, and we ended up buying it for this gal who's been, I mean, we keep thinking, oh, her voice is going to get stronger through therapy, and it just hasn't. And so her participation in class has just been so uplifting to see her do so much more than, you know, when she'd say something quietly and no one would notice. So, yeah. Nothing big there. That's all.
And you know, the great thing I think about that Windbridge is that for the money, it's really not an expensive piece of equipment. It's very affordable. It does a really nice job. Okay, using recipes to have various apps and websites be more accessible. I feel like, you know, this idea of recipes always kind of swirls around a little bit in the background, comes up, and people go, oh, so cool. And then I don't know about you guys, but then I kind of forget how to do it. But it is really handy. I love the recipes. They are very cool.
I think one way that they've used it here is the Unite for Literacy website and app. It's very simple for turning pages. I think that's how Brittany has used those recipes. That's one way on the iPad.
You know what, Claire, we ought to find a link for that. I bet there's, you know, a YouTube video that very quickly walks you through a simple recipe.
There's a few because I've gone on and looked at them, and they have the turning pages one, and then also using the whole screen as a switch. You can do that as a recipe too. So
And then do you
different little-
remember, did the webinar that we did a little while ago, did she talk about that as well? I
She
think we
talked
might
about it briefly, like the hardware to software one.
Uh-huh.
Talked about it briefly, and she might have had a link in there. But there's a few videos. Some of them are longer, some of them are better.
Yeah, she did get to it right at the end. She actually used kind of a complex example,
Yeah.
which is great, but for someone doing this for the first time, we can probably find it pretty.
The built-in ones, like the page turner one and the full screen switch, like those are built in. So all you have to do is turn them on. So they're really easy. And then when you make your own, that's not hard, but sometimes they don't work time after time. So there's something I'm doing in the programming that like makes it work one time and then go crazy the next.
So if you've got some favorite videos that you would be willing to share, we can add that to the slide.
I think there was one that I sent to one of our SLPs. I'll look for it. There was a few, and then when I went back to try to find the one I'd used before that was so helpful, I don't think I found the exact same one, but I can look and send them to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, for some reason on one that I did, it had like, you know, it was all these different swipes, like a finger painting one. And when it was done, it would automatically go into some sort of scanning, you know, where it would scan across the screen. I'm like, I know I'm not doing that. So I don't know what I did wrong. So I will look. I think I sent a couple to our SLPs, so.
Great. So we have Kiwi Write up here for students with dysgraphia, and we have WordTube. Is anybody online that wants to talk a little bit more about them?
I think, doesn't KiwiWrite have a free, you can get a free account, an educator account? Is that?
I'm not sure.
Is that right? I'll look it up.
Is Kiwi Write it's an app for an iPad?
Yeah, yes, I
Okay.
think so. Oh, there's a web app too.
It does say at the bottom, you can get a free educator subscription on their
Okay.
webpage.
Anybody else want to elaborate on WordTube or maybe even clamps that accommodate round surfaces?
Hold on just a second. So I tried out the WordTube on one of the iPads that I got to look at some other software. And I love this thing and I wanted to get it and I cannot find it to get the app, but it has video modeling that they made it really easy. And I was really excited about that. So it had a lot, you could do little communication boards on it and a whole slew of things that I was just really impressed with.
Nice. We'll have to check it out.
So,
Claire,
but
we'll
I don't
have
know, I can't find the app anywhere. to buy it now.
Are we linked to it here on the slide? Claire, do you know?
That's the link to their website. There's a button that says buy now.
It doesn't come up with any. It says it goes to the App Store, and then it says it's not available in our area.
Oh,
Cute.
are you on an iOS device?
Uh-huh.
We
Huh.
had some licensing for it here in Adams 12, but I don't think we've used it in a while. So I don't know if we still have access to it. Because we had some people that really, really liked it a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we still have access to it.
It said the last time it was updated was 2020, but I can't find. I had our AT department look for it as well, and they couldn't find it either.
Oh, shoot.
There's like a customer service email, so I'll just reach out to them and see if they have any.
That would be great, because it was an awesome iPad. I can see a lot of uses for it in a lot of different areas.
Okay. Any thoughts on clamps that accommodate round surfaces? No? Okay, we're gonna skip past that one. Someone talked about kind of rediscovering the bowls that, lift up around so that you can scoop with greater independence. And so we've got a link here to some of those bowls. And then VR, just in general, for attention, regulation, work completion, eye-hand coordination, executive function, and bilateral skills. It's funny how VR took off and everybody wanted it. It was such a big thing. And then it just seemed like, in terms of, or at least from our office, the demand for it kind of fell way off. And now it seems to be bubbling back up. I wonder if we just don't have some advancements or some new understanding that is driving people's kind of renewed interest in it. Any thoughts on that?
I think Apple getting involved is probably going to start to change things a little bit. They've really kind of reimagined what's possible with it. That may lead to some things. I mean, I think a lot of it was geared around gaming, and Apple is pushing it more towards productivity and like daily use.
Well, that'll be something to watch for sure.
But I still do see a lot of people creating those like the 360 videos and things like that, which I think is a really cool application for it.
Okay. Want to keep going? Other success stories. AAC in the Gen Ed classroom. Skills on the iPad. Head follow. Is Beth on the call? I don't know if she is. I haven't heard her speak up yet. But I'm wondering if that head follow, I think Brianne mentioned that head follow as a new feature of iOS that is working with their eye gaze device.
Yeah, my understanding is it's not actually an eye gaze, it's like a face. It's using the camera to watch the face, and then you're kind of essentially, it's like a head mouse where you don't have to have the little dot. It's just the Apple camera is able to use your face as a mouse.
I think that there might be a setting in there though that is working with the eye gaze camera. Don't quote me on that. But I mean, it may not be eye gazing, but it's somehow working with the camera.
Robin, have you used the iOS built-in head tracker?
Yeah, I've played around with it. And like it's available on most of the new devices. So it's okay. I mean, it's a lot like those the head mouse. It's similar. It's your neck gets tired doing it. So it definitely requires a different set of motor movements than like an eye gaze would. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tool to explore.
Yeah, after Michelle let us know that AbleNet had discontinued the head tracker, was it the head tracker 2? I reached out to them just like asking if it was going to be replaced with something else, and they said no because it's moving towards a built-in technology. So
Yeah, I think we're probably pretty close to that kind of technology just being built in on everything. I mean, even eye gaze, I think a lot of these companies would love to know where your eyes are looking all the time. So I think there's definitely a chance that this kind of technology is just going to be everywhere.
Can I jump in with an update on that particular situation with the head tracker?
Mhm.
I'm kind of going out of order, I'm sorry, but what I found out with this student is that at home, he is using an Xbox controller and going through the Xbox, whatever it's called. Sorry, I'm not a gamer. And he's going online and doing his homework using the Xbox controller. So now we are in the process, we've got the controller and IT is working with us because I have to put a piece of software on his laptop. And so he's going to be able to do his work at school on an Xbox controller, which is pretty cool.
That's very
So,
cool.
yeah, that's awesome. Super creative.
Yeah. And in the chat, we can see Lisa shared that link to the recipe video if anybody would want to take a look at that.
I don't think it's the one from the training, but it was one that I could show. It has a good example on it to show people how to use it.
And then the last comment here was just someone who had some really nice success using peer mentors. So love that. All right, anything else, Claire?
That's
At
it
the
for our
end?
slides. Yep.
Yay. Well, I hope everyone found something in all of this, all these resources, everything that we've shared. Thank you to everyone who submitted and contributed, was a part of today's share out. And thanks for all the extraneous comments and discussion that came from all of it. So it's been a great year. If we don't see you at Kate, have a wonderful summer if we don't see you. Thanks, guys.